Shooters Connection offers products for competition shooters by competition shooters. With over 80 years of combined competition shooting experience, Shooters Connection is staffed by master and grandmaster shooters who live the shooting sports every day. We offer same-day shipping. Shooters Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
And here we are, back from the dead. Hit Factor podcast. As you can see, it's just Jared and I this evening as of right now. Mr. Guild Pistol Smithing might join us later. I don't know. He was out playing golf or something. I think he's been about as active as I have in shooting. I don't really know. I haven't been talking to anybody. So
I've been super active in shooting.
Well, there you go. So Jared has a lot to talk about this evening. Let's see, I don't even know where to start here. A little rusty here. I mean, I was never any good at this to begin with, so we're knocking the rust off here. We're probably just going to be fielding a couple questions from the Discord this evening, unless Jeremy joins us, and then we'll probably talk about nationals. Like, I want to talk about nationals, but it seems weird not to talk about nationals without Jeremy.
Yeah. We're hoping Jeremy joins us to talk about nationals. If he doesn't get here, then we'll just discuss it without him, and he'll miss his chance.
Yeah. Did you like keep up with nationals on social media and stuff?
Yeah, I not social media, but I checked the scores after the first day, and then periodically through the next day, and then I checked it frequently on Sunday just to see where the race was at.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not really gonna do a big spiel and pitch and everything, so let's just.
Don't forget to talk about Shooters Connection.
Well, I mean, we just saw the ad. It will run. Thank you, Shooters Connection. Hit the link. It'll be down below if you need to purchase something for shooting. That helps out the podcast and definitely helps out Shooters Connection, which we do want to do. So there we go. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, possibly. Do you have anything, Jared? Do you have any housekeeping you would like to take care of at this moment?
No, just talk a little bit about what I've been doing in shooting, I guess, and while you're queuing up the questions. So I think the last episode we recorded was right after Area 3, right?
Yeah, it was just me and Jeremy, yeah.
I thought I was on with you guys.
No, because we talked about Layton.
Okay.
I think that was the last one. Do we have another one?
We must have had one after that, because I swear we recorded after Area 3, because I talked about how bad Heatherton destroyed the rest of us in production.
Maybe, dude. I have no memory of it, though.
Okay, well, anyways, I've been personally training up for IPSC Nationals. Or not IPSC Nationals, Pan American Championships in Florida. So leaving Thursday for that. Been doing basically everything I've been doing has been on IPSC targets, which I do like. Targets are a little tougher. Very strong focus on basic skills. Like I went and shot today, and I shot 250 rounds and did nothing but doubles.
I feel like that's pretty freaking easy to do, to just spend 200 and something rounds on doubles.
Yeah, just shot. Well, I also zeroed my guns, or confirmed 0 on them. But otherwise, 15 and 20 yards, just hammering out the doubles, shoot around, see what happens. I like that drill a lot because it's a lot like most of our shooting in our sport. And
where you're like pulling the trigger and the gun's going off?
Yes, but the way you're shooting, you're
Oh,
shooting.
oh, okay.
You're basically always shooting as pairs. So you're shooting a pair on this target, a pair on this target, a pair on this target. But if you pay attention on that drill, it'll tell you a lot. Like, I strung a couple off to the left side of the C zone at 15 yards. It's like I could tell when it happened on the trigger pull because my grip was not right.
Yeah.
It's such a good drill especially when you're getting close to a match. Just as like a little bit of practice without trying to change a lot. And then otherwise, I did shoot my local on Sunday, and they set up 3 of those proposed new classifiers.
And
I thought one of them seemed like a decent stage in and of itself. The one that had some like last 6 shots had to be strong hand, I kind of thought that one was dumb.
yeah,
I don't really. I wish our sport allowed like an entire stage just to be like strong hand only, like an 18-round stage to be strong hand only. Fortunately, the rulebook does not allow that. But I don't know. I've always just felt it was stupid to shoot like, oh, your last 6 targets have to be strong hand only. And then there's one with a table or like a table start with a reload off the table. It was okay, but I could tell when I shot that's one that the hit factor will be blown out of the water on because it's 4 rounds on 2 targets, reload 4 rounds on 2 targets. So it's one that's just going to be blown out of the water. Yeah, it's like there's going to be people that are shooting that thing in like probably the high 5s and just destroying that state. Just the hit factor is going to go through the roof because people are going to. Most of the shooting's easy except for one target's just like basically last couple inches of the upper or the lower A zone and the upper A zone. And that's one where people are probably going to destroy it and just shoot.
How far away are these targets?
I didn't walk it off. Probably 10 yards. I mean, all the other shooting's really fast. That's one that enough people will shoot it and hook up on it that the hit factors will be through the roof. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I shot a 10 something on it, and it wasn't spectacular shooting, and I had 2 Charlies. So I'm sure like high hit factor on that thing is going to be probably like 15. But I did greatly enjoy the last couple of weeks of shooting Production 15, aka Limited Minor.
Yeah.
For such a little capacity increase, it's amazing how much it opens up the shooting and what you can do. Like how much more aggressively you can shoot stuff, and you can when you're not reloading every time you move, it does change a lot. Like normally, I'd say the good open guys around here when I'm shooting production, I'm normally shooting like 85% of them.
Yeah.
And you bump that to production 15, and I'm more like 95% of them.
Yeah.
So a pretty big change. Of course, that match benefited it well with the round counts on the stages and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that. Like, that idea that like having to reload doesn't really matter because you're moving anyway. Like I get the concept, but I would want to really do some testing on that to see how I really felt about like if I think it matters that much or not.
Like on a reasonable distance movement, I don't think it does. It does. If you're moving 10 yards, I don't think it really matters. Yeah, you can move a little bit quicker if you don't have to load the gun, but it's not enough to really matter. Where it really starts mattering is on that super short movements where it's like, basically if you're shooting a high cap gun, you're just transitioning where we're loading and taking a step or two. So you can certainly shoot a lot sooner if you're not messing with loading the gun. But I think the biggest time difference is just how much more aggressively you can shoot stuff. Like if you have a 10-round position with 2 pieces of steel, or you're shooting, a section of targets with 10 rounds, there's 2 pieces of steel. like you're shooting pretty carefully. You just don't really have the capacity for a mistake there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you put 15 rounds in the gun and you're shooting aggressively because you have 50% extra ammo. That's where the big difference, I think, comes from on the high cap divisions to the low cap divisions. It's probably just the level of aggressiveness.
Yeah. Yeah, could be. Could be.
All right, let's tee up a couple questions. Got to be some good ones in there.
Okay. Okay, this would be a good one for you. So I've been shooting USPSA for a little over a year. Started with a Glock, and I've recently switched to a Shadow 2 or Shadow 2s. The switch has been fairly difficult getting used to the DASA. Any tips on how to make the transition a little smoother? Not sure if it matters, but I'm in Class CO.
So I'm going to assume, by the way that question was asked, that he is referring to the transition when switching from the double action trigger to the single action trigger. And I mean, it's just practice and trigger control. I mean, it's nothing more complicated than that. So, you know, you're generally probably going to see a little bit of time difference on your like first split there than you do the rest of your splits, just because you are transitioning on the trigger. It depends on how your hand's fitting, if your fingers adjusting or anything like that. But I mean, it's just practice. Do trigger control at speed type drills in dry fire. You short reset the trigger to run it as a dead trigger after the first trigger pull, and that's what you're working on, is doing that without moving the gun around. If your grip's good and the gun is fitting you well, it's not that big a deal to get used to. I mean, I went from shooting 2011s to Shadow 2s, and I was a GM in limited, but I hadn't been a GM for that long, and I didn't find the switch terribly difficult for me. I mean, it's the same thing, just pull trigger straight back.
Okay, I have nothing for you because I refuse to shoot DASA. So.
Well, some people, it's a valid argument for some people. I mean, it does have it has its advantages, it has its disadvantages. It brings up a good point though. Like, a lot of people ask about, like, oh, should I use a DASA gun or should I use a striker gun? I think the biggest benefit you're going to see from the DASA guns is generally they're going to be heavier metal frame guns, which for most people are going to shoot a heavier metal frame gun a little bit better just because they're harder to displace off the target. But you have the advantage when your trigger is good or lighter, is that with a hammer falling on the firing pin, it's generally going to have more room for error when you start getting the trigger light. Obviously, some of the newer striker guns, that's not really the case anymore, because the striker's fully cocked from the start, so they're still running a fairly heavy striker spring. But I know, like on Glocks and stuff like that, back in the day, you tried to run a lighter striker spring, they started getting primer sensitive, even though your triggers still weren't that great, or they'd get soft reset. So, I mean, that's a big difference. And with the metal frame striker options or the heavier striker options now, it doesn't matter much. I mean,
right.
Shoot whatever you like.
Yeah. Yeah. The only advice I would have for this guy having zero experience making this transition would be reps. Just get some reps. Mm-hmm. So, hope that helps, man.
Yeah, I mean, type of drills you can do for that is like drawing 2 shots, specifically like 2 at 25 and some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, you're not going to learn it without doing it. You're probably overthinking it.
He said the transition had been going fairly rough. Like, it had been very difficult. I don't know. He didn't say how long he had been trying to transition. But, I imagine that transition would be rough to start with. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know at what point you would expect it to smooth out, but I would
Look at
expect it to be rough to start with.
Yeah, look at it on the timer. It's probably not as bad as you think.
Well, I mean that's not the only metric though. Just time. I mean, if you can't hold the sight still, that's another thing.
Yes. Well, from either end, look at the target or look at the timer.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go, Jared. This is a terrible question for Jared. Would you be able to tier or rank affordable, middle ground, premium gun choices for each USPSA division?
I don't know, but I'll try.
Bet you will.
So, obviously, I work for CZ, so got to throw the CZ options out there. So we'll talk the lower ground for production, and I think this translates directly into CO as well. So basically, in the basic striker guns, you have like P10Cs or sorry P10Fs, mechanics, the basic like X5. I think it's around the same price, the non-Legion version, if they even still make it. And you have the old tried and true Glock. Those are kind of going to be the big options in that like sub $600 or $700 price range.
So are you classifying those as the affordable range or the middle ground range?
Affordable range.
Okay.
And middle ground, I would say that's where you start talking like a regular Shadow 2 or an OR Shadow 2. The metal frame Beretta 92X Performance or whatever it's called. You have the Tampolios in that range as well. The steel frame Walthers, the Sig Legion. Those are all in that price range. I'd probably throw the Max in with the regular Legion just because it's essentially the same gun. Don't think there's a large amount of difference there. And then in that higher end range, you start talking like the Shadow 2 Oranges, the Templio Extremes. That's what they call their like higher end guns, their custom shop guns or whatever. You have like the CZ custom guns, like the AO1, the Acu Shadow 2, that kind of stuff. I don't really know of any other in that range off the top of my head that are USPSA legal in production or CO. So then we'll start talking limited. I think in the polymer front these days, the only sub $600 or $700 gun. I think the Glock is like the only 40 cal gun you can still buy. I don't know of anything else off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you buy the gun that Mason shoots?
I don't think so. I think you got to build it.
Okay.
And then I guess in that kind of middle ground, you have like the Tac Sport 2. Probably could build the gun Mason shooting for around that price range. And then you really don't have much for 2011s anymore. I think the Masterpiece Arms is 25, but I think you're starting to get in that high. You're getting to the bottom end of the higher end when you start talking on 2011. So you're probably starting.
Can pick up some. You can pick up some pretty good priced old Paras on Gunbroker.
Yeah, I don't know if the Paras would be a good option or not. I don't have an experience with them. I think mags might be a challenge there. It was like, and you have the Tampolio 40 cal guns too, and the cheaper metal or heavier guns.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty solid choice.
Yeah, that are the TS2s. Probably the best options if you're not talking 2011 money. I think these days for a well-built 2011, you're probably starting around $4 nowadays. Those newer Masterpiece Arms guns, I haven't messed with them much. They look good. I think they're like 2,500. So if that's the case, I think those would be a solid option.
If you want to shoot a single stack, you could weld some mags together, and you can shoot 170 millimeter mag.
You can just use 45 mags, load it with 40 or load it with 40.
Yeah, if you're shooting a single stack, you can shoot 170 mil mag in limited. So definitely a solid option there.
Yeah, no. Let's see. And then next division, I guess single stack. Um, there's a ton of budget 1911 options out there.
Yeah.
Then you start talking the middle ground guns. So I think before you get to custom guns, I think the Colt competitions are decent guns. I'm a big fan of the Dan Wessons at their price point, like a Point Man 45 or Point Man 9. I think they're like 1600 retail. They're really solid options. Um, and then after that, you're into custom guns. And then if you're super rich, you can have Jeremy build you a gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Super rich. Yeah.
Revolver, I think your options are Smith & Wesson or Ruger. Pick whichever one you want. I don't think there's anybody else build an 8-shot revolver.
Pretty much. Did Ruger just come out with an 8-shot revolver?
They've had one for a couple years, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to shoot USPSA with it, but I kind of want one just because they look cool. And then what do we got left? Open. I basically know nothing about open, so I think there's some bull guns that are still in that like $2,500 to $3,000 price range. I think so. In that lower price range, there you're talking basically probably that gun or a Checkmate, maybe the Masterpiece Arms. I'm not sure what its price point is, and after that, you're basically into custom guns. So you're probably Open's probably not an option if you're not ready to spend 6,000 plus on guns.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair.
I think unless you like know someone local, I'd probably stay away from used open guns personally. Mm-hmm. Just because I mean people aren't selling them unless they. Most of the time they're not selling them unless they're shot quite a bit.
Yeah, open's like it's the custom gun division.
Yeah, and then I guess PCC. I have no idea what you want. Probably some really cool SBR because nobody cares about the division.
There you go. Yeah, I also have no clue with PCC.
I mean, you're likely using some form of a AR-9 that uses Glock mags. That's probably about the option. Probably JP Enterprises is probably what you want to buy, or maybe the MBX guns. I don't know.
Yeah,
what other ones are ready to go.
He shoots a MBX, right?
Yeah, well, I think those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head that are like ready to go for competition. Anything else, you're going to end up putting a lot of work in getting it ready.
Yeah, I have no clue about that stuff. There you go. Jared just hit every single division and shouted out CZ in every single division.
Well, hey, we build a diverse product line. I guess you could use a Scorpion for PCC also.
There you go.
But I mean, if I was going to shoot PCC, I'd probably use an AR-9 of some sort. But I'm not going to shoot it, so it doesn't matter.
You guys don't have a solid option for revolver?
No. CZ Dan Wesson doesn't build anything in revolver, and I don't think Colt has anything that holds 8 rounds. I think all their 38 357s are 6-round guns, so they wouldn't be competitive.
It's an American, Jared.
I know, we'll lose us 3 or 4 of gun sales a year. Damn it.
How do you use video in your matches and after-match evaluation? Cell phone footage? First-person footage? Both? And what video equipment do you recommend?
So I just use my cell phone for third-person view. Whatever the most current iPhone is, that's what I have, like the big one with 3 cameras. So I use that, and specifically from a 1,000-foot view, I'm looking at the video to see where there's clear evidence of room to improve. So, was movement funky? Was I set up funny? Did I not? Did I move the gun funny around an obstacle or something? I'm looking for that stuff. You can also, if you mess up a reload or something, you can also see, what happened. Or if you missed a position, you can see like what it costs you. So it's looking to find what's available for improvement. That for me personally, and then I'll post some videos, but I mean, 90% of the videos I take are for my own consumption to see what happened and why.
Yeah. So I don't really like. I do not take video anymore. I don't really ask people for video anymore. Sometimes people take it and give it to me, and I appreciate it and I use it. But in the past, not the first couple years, but like second and third year of shooting, I wore a hat cam. It's the GoPro Hero or Session. Sorry, the GoPro Session, the really tiny one. And that was pretty cool. I didn't really feel like it was super helpful, other than like one thing it would be helpful in would be like reviewing the order in which I shot an array, because you could see the whole array in the video. They're not very good for diagnosing like movement stuff because you can't see yourself moving. But if you're wanting to like look at was that order good, or see, oh yeah, I had plenty of time there, I can shoot faster than that, or something like that. Or even if like you had a malfunction or you did something goofy with your gun and have no memory of what happened at all, they can be good for that because you can see what's going on. I've diagnosed like malfunctions that way, actually.
And if you're trying to figure out like what you're looking at in the video, probably a good resource to see someone who's very good breaking down their videos is Mason Lane. Posts some breakdown videos on his YouTube page. I think he's using like Coach's Eye or something to draw the little lines and talks about what he's looking at, what he sees, where the mistakes were. And then obviously he's a very high level shooter, so the mistakes are generally quite small. And if you're looking for more of that stuff, I think Practical Shooting Training Group still has a page of breakdown videos of shooters that are like just members of the website submit videos. So it's showing breakdowns of, all levels of shooters being broken down by Ben or Joel or someone like that. That stuff can help you diagnose what you're looking at as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it. Let's see here. Grab us another question. Okay, here we go. How do I improve strong hand only, weak hand only shooting with the DASA trigger? DA kills me, especially weak hand only, to the point I don't bother doing it indoors. Ooh, I hear that.
That sounds
Sparks
like
on the floor.
Well, that sounds like a severe training issue. I know it sounds simple because it's something that's a simple concept, but it's hard to do. But it really is just gripping the gun properly and pulling the trigger straight back. The only way you're going to get better at it is doing it. So until you're comfortable shooting good enough, weak hand only, you've got to train it. For me personally, on my grip on like weak hand and strong hand, kind of one of my cues or something I'm conscious of is how my pinky's reacting. So I want to make sure it's like squeezed into the gun, like tightly on the bottom of the frame. But otherwise, it is pulling the trigger straight back. I like to make sure my hand is tucked into my chest, just because you don't want that free weight just swinging there. And then otherwise, I try to keep the gun fairly vertical. When you start seeing it tilt a lot, it doesn't generally matter much up close, but it can certainly cause you to push shots in funny places on farther targets.
Right.
But just train it. That's all you can do. Dry fire is a great place to work on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like to recommend doing the drills like trigger control at speed and whatnot. Doing them single-handed chunking weekend, and doing variations of that. So when I do trigger drills, I like to do I'll do some starting with my finger off the trigger, timer goes off, mash it, and I'll do that a few times. And then like the next phase is I'll keep the trigger pinned, right? And then when the timer goes off, I let off and pull. And so trying to keep the sight stable throughout that whole motion just get a bit more. It gets more difficult. And then as far as a grip cue, I kind of go with like the squeezing or milking motion, whatever you want to call it, where you're kind of driving the web of your hand. You're pulling the front strap into the lower part of your hand, and you're driving your web up into the beaver tail. That's kind of my grip cue. It's like a squeeze, you know.
Yeah. And something that's important to consider too on weekend shooting specifically is you obviously have to transition that gun to your weekend. So there's probably a perfect right way to do it, but I think there's a few different ways to do it. You've got to pick a way that lets you get a good, consistent grip on the gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, personally, like me, if it's a draw out of the holster to weekend, like I'm basically not gonna wrap my thumb around it. I'm gonna keep it onto the right side of the frame, and then I'm gonna watch the gun and bury it into my palm, like in front of my chest, not super low or anything, just like where I can see it.
Yeah, I've heard other people say that they don't wrap their thumb around on the draw if it's going to be going straight to their weekend. I have practiced that. I don't think I actually do that in matches.
Yeah, well, a lot of times if you're doing like a reload to your weekend, obviously you're not gonna be able to do that. But I mean, functionally, it stays the same though. I'm watching the gun into my palm. I mean, your vision leads everything in shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think like doing trigger control drills is one of the best ways to improve your single-handed shooting. To do trigger control drills single-handed. Alrighty.
I think Jeremy's going to be joining us.
He might.
I mean, I see guest, but he hasn't popped in yet.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, and he's wearing his expensive ass hat too.
Wearing that new bussin' hat, right?
It is a bussin' hat. It's not expensive. Ship.
No, the hat's pretty reasonable. It's just the shipping that's expensive.
Yeah, $28 is pretty reasonable for a hat, I think. But yeah, like I don't like shipping is like flat rate shipping. Like a medium flat rate box through USPS is $16, and anything like FedEx or anything like that is $20.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times like somebody's complained about our FedEx, like what we charge to FedEx guns at CZ. It's like, do you realize that like we're not even covering our costs to ship that to you? Like the flat price is cheaper than what it costs us to ship that. By the time we buy the packing material and like pay someone to put that in the box and send it to you, like we lost money on the shipping.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've lost money on every gun I've ever shipped for my entire career. Because
you can't charge the real rates when we throw a fit.
Well, I mean, like I charge basically what it costs, what my FedEx cost is, but that doesn't include the time spent packing the gun up. Like I got to drive it to a FedEx location because the driver, like I'm not giving it to a local driver because the FedEx local drivers are terrible. So I mean, it's just that's a half a day to ship a gun. I don't get anything out of that. It's already cost a couple $100 to ship one.
Yeah, you're putting a
like
ton of insurance on
insuring a gun. Yeah, and then it's got to go overnight. So
hey,
it gets expensive.
Speaking of shipping, Shooters Connection is doing next day shipping. and there lots of reasonable items there, priced nice and well, unlike Jeremy's hats. And
maybe we should just send the hats to Shooters Connection and have people buy it through them, and then say
That is
they can buy other cool.
That
that's
would
not
be
a bad
cheaper.
idea.
That would be cheaper if you just sent the whole case to them.
Maybe on the next one I'll talk to Shooters Connection if they'll let me ship it directly to them, and then people could buy it through them or have it at least shipped through them or something, because they probably buy other stuff from them.
See if they just want to be our fulfillment center.
Yeah, that seems. Why wouldn't they want to do that?
Anyway, thank you, Shooters Connection, for sponsoring today's episode. We much appreciate it. Yes. Everybody go support Shooters Connection. Let them know who sent you.
So, Jeremy, we knocked out a
link in the description.
We knocked out a few podcast questions. We wanted to save the CO Nationals talk for you to get back with us. All right. We are ready to dive in a little bit to CO Nats.
I mean, what is the spiciest? What is the spiciest take from CO Nats? Is it Max Michel?
Well,
I
was a little shocked to see
Mills winning.
I was a little shocked to see they ran out of food again at awards.
Is it running out of food? Yes, that could be fairly spicy.
But didn't they have like a big like banquet deal this time at a separate location?
I think it was at a different location, but I still think they ran out of food.
But it was like big, and everybody could sit down.
Yeah. I think that is true. Apparently, the members' meeting was they technically had one, but it didn't sound like a whole lot of questions were answered. I think the most common response during that meeting that I heard of was, "We're not going to talk about that."
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and they didn't live stream it. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have been able to set in on it.
They didn't live stream it.
That's pretty hard to set up, like figuring all out. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, like a Facebook Live or something is.
That's a lot. That's a
lot. Or recording it and posting it later on.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand that stuff can be challenging.
Yes,
I mean,
that is. That is
big organization like USPSA having somebody to do things like that would be unreasonable. I mean, little old CZ, we only have a handful of people in our marketing department, and they all know how to use a camera and a cell phone.
Well, that's why I don't even know. I don't know what that is. I mean, I do think that like the USPSA used somebody besides Jake to run their social media during CO Nationals, and there was a surprisingly good uptick in the quality of videos.
Yeah, I heard really good things on that. I don't know for sure who was running it, but I heard nothing but good things on.
I heard it was Josh Freilich.
Yeah, well, props to him, because I heard nothing but good feedback on that and like what was getting posted and stuff.
I was actually surprised when I came across the stuff that was on social media. I was like, this isn't normal. This seems different.
Somebody actually put real effort into it.
It's interesting.
But it's also good that we have somebody that makes a 6-figure salary to do that, and then we hire somebody different besides that person to do the social media for one of our large, big premier events. So that's cool. So I want to know what you guys think about the chrono and Mr. Well, luckily he was third place this year. Mr. Max Michel.
Oh, tell me more. I have not followed anything. Like, this is the first time I'm looking at the scores.
So Jeff is clueless. So Max did not make Power Factor. He was 124.5 after 7 rounds shot. He only weighed the first bullet, and he was 7 rounds shot.
And he wasn't shooting match ammo?
No, he was. From what I heard, he was shooting certified match ammo.
he was shooting 6 hours certified match ammo.
Well, what's the problem?
And so then he got passed through the chrono, even though he was sub minor.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is Strader was also shooting SIG certified match ammo, and his rounds were going like 50 foot a second faster than Max's were. So I mean, like if we want to play the conspiracy
Oh
theorist,
yeah, we do. We do.
that Max is having a special load made for him using the same outward components as everybody else, but it's slower, and
Yeah.
so but he knows that he can get away with it. There's that theory that's getting thrown around. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if there's something like that. The thing is, like, Max is Mr. Sig, and this was 6 hours match, and he is shooting the max edition of the 320 shooting SIG ammo. And there is no way that Max does not know that his ammo is right at 125 power factor. Like, there's no way that he was surprised at the results of this. And so, like, that's a pretty bad look when, like, the certified match ammo through the same company's signature competition gun does not make power factor. Like, if you're Max, like, you have to be like at least 130, 132, like, where there's no chance that you're going sub minor. Like to me, like, it's one thing if you're shooting match ammo and you're shooting a Glock, or like it's SIG match ammo and you're shooting a Glock or a Canic, and it's that barrel slower than the SIG barrels. That's kind of my take on it.
I'm not going to put too much weight on it because, I mean, 50 feet per second variance between potentially a different lot of ammo and two different guns isn't that crazy. So I certainly won't personally blame Max on that one. I do think with the certified match ammo program, though, like USPSA needs some standard that they're going to hold those manufacturers to if they're going to continue allowing that. If they start getting a lot of guns, if they start getting a lot of ammo through Chrono that's not making power factor, then I think that those loads maybe should be removed from the match program. I get it. It's quite possible that this specific load and this specific gun is 164 instead of the 168 that it's loaded to. But I do think USPSA needs some way to hold the manufacturers accountable for that, to make sure they're staying up with it and making sure the ammo is making power factor.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting concept to even have match ammo like that. I would be curious because I haven't combed through the results. I don't know if there would be an easy way to do it, like to see who all shot certified match ammo and how many of them did not make power factor. Like, were there, say, 50 people shot match ammo? I have no idea. I'm just guessing a number. Say 50 people shot it. Was Max the only one that didn't make power factor, or was he one of 20 that didn't make it? I don't know that. I would love to see those numbers.
Yeah, or what the spread was of his chrono. Like,
they were like, no, they were pretty consistent. Like maybe 10 foot a second. They were all very consistent.
How do you know that?
It's all
because practice score shows your velocities for each shot.
Yeah, let's go down the old chrono results.
A lot of people shot over 140 power factor.
There's a guy that shot 151.
Yeah. Like 47 or 46 people shot over 140 power factor. Like, damn.
They're not sissies, Like,
yeah. Guess not. And
yeah. we need carry optics major.
JJ's pretty
now.
consistent. He always shoots like 135 to 140.
Oh, the other spicy thing that came out from CO Nationals is it was leaked by a board member at the board members meeting that they are in talks with gun manufacturers about creating a new division that certain gun manufacturers would like to see.
Oh yeah.
So apparently it got leaked, and then what I heard is that somebody else then said, "Hey, we don't need to talk about that." So they were on form for their ability to control what comes out of their mouths.
You know,
it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better than this.
On that front, I really don't think the manufacturers should be driving the divisions.
Yeah, who does, Jeremy?
No.
I mean, Jared, whatever your name is.
What?
Man, it's been a long time since we've even talked to each other. Jeff can't even get our names right.
I said, who does, Jared?
I mean, I just, I worry that is going to create another division, which I don't think is beneficial to the sport in general.
Yeah, like, what is the I don't even, I mean, we don't even need to go in these weeds on this but like, I don't even know what the positive of adding a new division to this sport is. Like I love single stack. Like I'm a dyed in the wool like I love shooting that. But at the same time, like I'm almost to the point. It's like, okay, let's consolidate some of these divisions because the national schedule next year, I know it's in October. I don't know all the rest of them, but I know that in October we have revolver, single stack, production, limited 10, and limited all in one big match.
Next year?
Someone's getting that soft L10 win.
In October?
It is in October, yes. And it's just like, really? Like, I don't know. Like, apparently it's also in a range in Ohio, which half the berms are not actual berms. They're concrete walls.
Cool.
Yes, I've been to that range because they hold SCTP there and SASP. So I've been there for work. And that was my first thought, but I've talked to some local guys in that area that I know, and they said new berms are going up, and there's plenty of space to build them there. So I'm going to stay positive and think that that's been sorted out and discussed, and that they know that it's going to be good to go.
I'll tell you, y'all, what's going to happen. Jared here is going to stay positive until we stop recording, and then he's not.
Yeah. That's probably true.
Also, we can't consolidate divisions because if we do that, we'll have too good of an excuse to add divisions.
Well,
yeah, it's true.
The big problem I see with that potential change, though, is that whether it's its own division or gets rolled into something else, is that you start talking 2011s anywhere in a minor power factor gun, it's going to decimate open and limited. Like, it's going to hurt those divisions badly in participation. Like, two of our two oldest, and like what I would say is our kind of more premier divisions are going to certainly be hurting if that happens.
I tell you, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, unless the division is extremely stupid, it's going to hurt the other divisions because there's not that many people in this sport. Any division added pulls people from existing divisions that, as it is, like, aren't that stacked except for CO, which, if they left things alone, would probably fade out and people might go back to their divisions. But I would suspect that before that happens, we'll add another division.
Yeah, the seeming concept that if we add more divisions, we're going to get more shooters is a complete fallacy. All it does is move people around.
Yeah, you're going to get more dead divisions. That's what you're going
And
to get.
then it also, like, it costs the org more because they have to have more nationals.
Yeah.
right? Like we now have this year we had a standalone nationals for CO.
Well, the other side of it is if you roll single action stuff only into CO, then you're going to essentially make a massive change in what is currently the most popular division. Like the guys that shoot that division and really care about it probably aren't going to be overly happy.
Well, here's where I'm going to stop agreeing with Jared at this point, and like I don't think you can add SA guns to single action guns are already in the division. We've been over this before, so we don't necessarily have to argue this, but like adding single action, I mean, Jared, would you not rather see single action guns allowed in CO versus adding a limited optics minor division?
Well,
Yeah,
I would
pick
say
your poison.
it's pretty. Yeah.
Like you got to pick. You
Yeah,
got to
do
pick
you
one
want
of the
shot in
two.
the left
That's
leg or the
apparently
right
that's
leg?
where we're
Pick
at.
which one you want shot in, please.
Gotta pick.
Well, I mean, that's kind of
No,
where we're
yeah,
at.
you're not wrong on that. And as someone that doesn't particularly care about shooting CO at the moment, like it doesn't natively impact me as a competitor, or positively impact me as a competitor. I just don't see it. The history of when they start messing with the most popular divisions has never turned out good. I mean, 5 years ago, production was the most popular division. Now look at it.
Yeah.
Hey,
All right. We've talked about all that
Yeah,
before.
talk about nationals. Jeez.
Yeah.
Nationals. So Jeff, apparently you're the RIA of shipping hats, by the way.
What's that?
So Nationals. Max had a lead going after the first day, and JJ was very close to him. Niels was back. If I remember, I'm going just off memory here. I didn't write it down. Niels was like 10 points back, I think, and then John Vlager was up there really close. Mason was a little bit behind Nils at that point. And then Nils had a good day two. JJ had a terrible day two. And Max kind of had a couple fumbles. And I think Nils going into day three, I think Nils had either a 10 or a 20-point lead, I think he had a 20-point lead going into day three. Nils shot a pretty solid, well, he shot solid the whole match, but day two was really solid for him. And day two for JJ, like I said, was terrible. And he was pretty far down. And then Nils came in and just, I mean, like you saw, like I don't if you guys like the stages they shot. Like Nils won the first stage of the day, and then he was like 95%, 95%, 93%. I mean, all like right there. And he had like a 30-point lead going into the last stage, I think. And he did the perfect thing. He shot like 85% of the match winner. He went in there and was able to coast, shoot at a comfortable, safe pace, and he won. And JJ, like if you guys look at the mid scores, like stage 7 through 12 of JJ scores, like he's like almost winning every stage. Like he just crushed day three to finish second place, and then Max finished in third.
Yeah, 10 through like 16 of JJ's like first, second, or third on every stage.
Well, day three would have been 7 through 12.
So,
right.
Looking over the results, some stuff that I think is most interesting is one, in the last 3 years, this is the first year that somebody that's not really super known or not on the super squad didn't end up second. So you had a couple of guys that were clearly good shooters, but weren't super known and expected to be that high. Finished second the previous 2 years. This year you had kind of more of the usual suspects. I would say Nils, I did not really expect him to win based on the results that I'd seen. Really figured it was going to probably be more of a battle between Max and JJ. But also, if you look over the results, before you get below 85%, you're at 49th place, and they're still at 85+%.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's a deep field up top.
Nuts. nuts, dude.
I mean, top 16 was still in the 90s.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's pretty nuts.
Jay had a solid finish, 7th.
Jay Bill shot really
Yeah.
well.
Solid.
There's also another guy that I don't know this guy at all. Is it Brandon Merriam or
Brantley.
it's
I shot with him at
Brantley
I shot
Merriam?
with him at CO Nationals last year. I don't remember what place he got. I think he was top 10 last year, if not top 10, top 12. So he shot very well.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was top 10. He's a pretty good shooter. I think he's from like Mississippi, maybe somewhere down there.
Yeah, he crushed it, and I saw a couple results. I had not seen his name before, just I hadn't run across it, and so but I saw like a couple matches before this. I kind of saw his name kind of up, and I was like, I wonder how good this guy is, and he definitely backed it up. Brandon Jones, who is like the make ready king, like he might be worse than Max Michelle on make readies. I shot a nationals with him in Florida, whatever the last one in Florida was, and oh my gosh, like it was the worst thing in the world.
Wow.
He's normally an open shooter. He's unclassified in carry optics, but he was fifth.
But
I mean, he shot a really good
he's
match.
a super squad open shooter.
Yeah, he was that year that I shot with him. I think he was driving me nuts. Like I wanted to like yell at him, like, hurry up, dude. Like, but I think he was like 10th. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I think he's been on the super squad since then. So he's obviously quite good.
Obviously.
Quite good. So yeah, like the results were good. Mason I mean, honestly, like that was a pretty disappointing match for Mason. I think. I bet he would probably be at 4.5% off of Nils, off of the winner. I'm a little surprised to see Mason down there. I would have kind of expected him a little higher percentage.
They can't all be at the top, Jason.
No, and who knows? I don't know if he had a bad stage. I haven't really looked at it.
And I think it's important to point out that while he's probably a little farther back than you would typically expect, I mean, I think Nils shot exceptionally well for himself too. Because he hasn't really, like the CO matches he's been shooting, he hasn't really been like dominating when there's like Max Michelle level guys there. He only won.
Area 3 was a bit of an outlier for Nils. Nils, like if you go and look at the scores from Area 3, he's before the second day. If you look at his scores from the second day, I know that he drank a lot more water the evening before, and he slept a lot more the evening before. If I can phrase it that way, and his the results in the stages definitely reflected a slightly different evening the night before. So I mean, like Max did beat him at Area 3, but there was a little more to that other than just shooting that factored into that a little bit.
I was just going to point out that while it might only be a 33-point swing, with that level and depth of field, that's a pretty strong win in that division.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, once Nils got the lead at day 2, I mean, he didn't give it up. So that's his 16th USPSA national title.
Won a lot of divisions too. Production, CO, limited, and single stack. As a traditionally like very dominant iron sight shooter, I think that also makes CO a little more impressive.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for sure, he is much more comfortable with iron sights than with a dot. I would guess even still to today, he would probably tell you I'm more comfortable with iron sights than a dot. But he's still beating the best guys in the world with a dot.
I think he said that in an interview that was on social media. I think he even said that.
Yeah. So I mean, Nils is I had to bump Nils down. We can talk about my power rankings at some point. I had to bump Nils down because of his, he lost a couple matches coming into this, and so I had no choice but to bump Nils down. Where did I put him at? I gotta find it.
We had 5 people in open.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had bumped Nils down to 3rd in my power rankings. That will change after this match.
I'd say he's probably back to first.
Oh yeah, he will be comfortably back in first. Obviously, Jacob Hetherington was 2nd, and I had Christian Seiler at first. Jacob didn't shoot this match. He did lose to Sal in production the match before this, but Jacob had been the hottest guy in the sport. And then Christian didn't shoot this match, which I was surprised. He had put time in on CO earlier this year, and I thought he was going to shoot it. He actually responded on our Instagram, saying that he has the world shoot coming up. That he wanted to just train just open so for the world shoot, and so he was skipping CO nationals for that. I I get that. Like that. Like world shoot's a big thing. It's like 2 months away.
Yeah.
Because the world shoot's not till like Thanksgiving.
He's also a very serious contender to win world shoot this year.
Oh, I mean, we don't know who's shooting open. We don't know what Grafel is shooting yet, as far as I know. I assume Jorge is shooting it, the previous world shoot open winner. I don't know if JJ is. I assume JJ is probably shooting open at that.
I don't know what team he's on.
Well, are the teams aren't hardly like there's not even a classic team going. I know that. I don't know how many teams are being fielded for it. There's not that there's a lot of people not going to that match. And so like winning the world shoot this year is not gonna there should probably be an asterisk on it because there's a lot of people not gonna be there. Which is too bad, but it is what it is. When you choose Thailand and then you have a worldwide pandemic, people aren't going to want to go to that.
I think we should go ahead and give a shout out to the ladies national champion, which
was that Justine
Williams, followed by Morgan.
I think it's Lionheart.
Yeah,
I think
Morgan Rose 3-gun is I think her social media,
and then Ashley Rourke,
Lionheart,
and then Ashley Rourke and Jaleese Williams and Rachel Harper coming in 5th place to round out the top 5. So, ladies national champion Justine Williams, congrats. Would you like to shout out?
And that was a tight race. Top 3 were all pretty tight in that, if I remember correctly.
I think there was only 3 or 4% between the top 4.
Yeah. Morgan was the winner last year. She's younger than Justine, I think, and she's obviously really, really good. And Ashley, I think this was a pretty good bounce back match for Ashley because I think last year Ashley was not close to Morgan. I could be misremembering, but I don't think she was super close, and so I think this was a decent match for Ashley. Even though she wants and expects to win, but she was much, much closer. So I think that's good.
It's a fairly competitive group of ladies there.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Jack Brown won A class, and Scott Brown won junior.
Scotty got another junior title.
Nice.
There's a problem with Scott though, is that I don't think he's had equipment that's run at a single match this year, 100%. Like that boy needs to figure out how to make guns work.
Well, I will say I know for sure that he was using a borrowed Shadow 2.
It was, yes.
Because I linked him up with it and loaned him like a holster and everything. So I think he told me I think he had a firing pin return spring break in the gun, which can make him do kind of some funny things. And it can happen sometimes with lighter springs. If it wasn't my personal gun, if I'd have known that it had that light of a firing pin return spring in it, I'd have put a new one in it before I gave it to him.
You couldn't give him one of your personal, like your.
I don't have an
personal
option
Shadow
for the Shadow
2s?
2.
What happened to all your CO guns?
I had 2 slides, and I used them for the match, and then turned it back into work.
Oh, lame.
I know.
So yeah, we need Scott to get equipment that works. The kid is really fast and really talented.
Holy shit, he's fast.
And he has shot himself in the foot a lot by having equipment that doesn't work this year. And that's got to be frustrating for him when you can't express your skills because your equipment's not working.
If he decides to stay with the Shadow, I'll help him make sure his stuff stays working.
Oh yeah, Jeremy, you missed where we ran through each division and talked about the best guns, like low tier, middle tier, and high tier for each division. That was a question, and Jared made that list, so it was pretty great.
I'm sure I will have to go back and listen.
I basically
to that
said buy a CZ. No,
I think every division he started with a CZ. Like when he started naming guns, like the first one was always a CZ.
Hey, it's
on form.
What I know, man. I mean, I do have a like financial interest in CZ. It is where I work.
I think the Canic has been like, it was second at limited nationals. It won production and now it has won CO.
Yeah.
And that limited, it was second shooting minor. Like the Canic is kind of like, we just need to get a comp on there and let him shoot some 9 major through it and like see if he can win open, right?
I did list it as a viable option. I basically broke them down by like price points for the division. I was like, all right, in this price point, these are the viable options. In this price point, there's these.
Yeah, it was in the low tier, so like,
of course,
budget guns.
Yes, it was by price point. They're very value priced guns. They seem to be a great gun for the money, but they're still, if it's a $600 gun, it doesn't magically cost the same as a $1,200 gun.
But it might be better than a $1,200.
Could be
gun.
For some people. They seem like a great gun. They have very nice triggers.
Is price always reflective of like quality of grade?
No, not necessarily.
Always. Yeah.
Price and value can be two very different things.
If you buy a car, you just go buy the most. You just go in and say, "What's the most expensive one?"
Right. I want to spend
and you buy
the
that
most money.
Yes,
exactly.
That is the best way to do it. You're looking for a house, just pick your neighborhood and pick the most expensive one they got.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah. Jeff, have you talked about what you've been doing the last week? Your meth house that you've been rebuilding?
No, I haven't talked about anything. We literally just jumped on here and Jared started answering questions.
Yeah, we're killing some time until you joined us because it's not the same podcast for only 2 people.
It's probably it probably didn't improve when I jumped on. So Jeff sent me pictures. Jeff has told me we bought this little lake house for be a vacation place for our kids and I think he told me how much how much it costs. It's okay, you gotta I've been in Oklahoma enough and understand when somebody in Oklahoma tells you they got a lake house, it might be different than other places when they have a lake house.
It would be fair to assume that I was talking about a single wide. That would be pretty fair.
Yeah. And then Jeff sent me pictures and I'm like, oh, please, dear, I hope he did not bring his 3-year-old into that house. Is she 4 yet? Is she 4
Yeah.
now? She's
Yeah,
4 now,
4,
right? Yeah, she's 4.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he then sent me another picture, and yeah, she's in it with one of his. I don't know if it was his shirt on that she was her
No,
painting shirt, and
that
she's like painting the
no.
walls.
That was actually this house. We were painting a closet here. That wasn't.
Oh, you did not specify that. I thought you had her in that, like helping with the and like these pictures of this house that Jeff like. You do not want to walk barefoot in there because there's probably needles stuck in the floor and like you don't know what you're gonna find. I don't know if he's torn the floor out to see what's hidden under there. Like there could be wads of cash or there could be guns that have killed people. Like there could be who
I
knows
will
what could be
say
underneath there.
this one time, Jeremy's not really exaggerating. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But no, my family has not been to the place. I'm the only one that's been there.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better. I was a little bit worried about Jeff's decision making as a father. If he was having Thea clean up that house. But it'll be a fun project, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody knows I bought a investment property. That's what it is. I'm gonna remodel it or have it remodeled. I'm gonna do part of the work, have part of the work done, and then we'll either do like short-term rental, Airbnb type stuff, or we'll flip it if that doesn't turn out to work very well. So this project.
Oh, so you're not planning on keeping it as like a lake house for you guys?
I mean, we will for a little bit, and if it turns out that we can Airbnb it and use it, and it's not really costing me anything, and I'm just building equity for free, then yeah, I'll probably keep it for a while. But
okay.
If it's too much of a burden and it's just draining my income, then we'll just flip it, and take the money, and roll into something else.
Nice.
Cool. What's the square footage on it?
It's just over 600 square feet, so it's pretty small.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the living room, kitchen is one big room, and then it has 2 separate bedrooms and a bathroom.
I mean, it like if you can fix it up, like it'd be the perfect little vacation.
Yeah, and it's like
house.
It's like a short little walk down to a sandy beach on the lake, so it's nice. Lake Eufaula.
Nice. How far is it from home?
It's like just under 2 hours from here.
It's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not bad. Especially like once I get the first part of it done and I don't have to be driving up there all the time, I can start contracting some stuff out. That'll be better. But that's where we at. That's what I've been doing. Other than that, just work. And yeah, really been struggling to think about shooting or any of this at all. And I think it's not necessarily that like I don't want to shoot anymore or think about it. It's just like when there's so many different things in my head, like something gets pushed out, whether I want it to or not. If I try to hold on to all these different things and think about them, like one of them just doesn't get thought about. And the 2 other things I'm deeply invested in, like literally lots of money invested in them, being my day job and this property. So those are taking a bit of a priority for me since the Discord money doesn't pay all my bills, just a couple of them. So
it bought the lake house for him.
It was the down payment on the lake house. But I need
the jet skis he's gonna have to pay for himself.
Yeah, I need to add revenue to remodel it. So, but
yeah,
that's where we're at. I have a lot of internal arguments with myself, discussion on how to do this, how to stay involved in this. Oh man, it's a struggle right now.
So like I've kind of had finally like come to a conclusion myself on that kind of same issue, like in where I'm at going forward in that.
Yeah, hold on. Let me ask you a question first. Okay. Is this something that you were struggling with, so you sat down, or like you dedicated time to like think about it, or is this something that just like one day like it just kind of came to you like your epiphany?
I think it's been an internal battle. Like it hasn't been like like sat down. I mean, it's something I've been thinking about for like the last couple years, and it's kind of been like this internal battle. Like, do I want to accept this or
Yeah.
not? And I'm finally just like, you know what? Like now that like now that I've kind of seen it in this light, then like I'm like, yeah, I'm fine accepting that now. Like, and there's this thing that I want to be able to teach my kids that like if you really want to do something well, like if you can have like a singular focus on that thing, like that is very powerful. Like you can succeed a lot in that. But that will require you sacrificing and missing out on a lot of other things. Um and I mean I've done a lot of that in my life, like when I was a trumpet player, like I was dedicated to that, and there was lots of stuff that I skipped out on and didn't do because it would have been harmful to that career at that time. And shooting has been the same way. I've been fairly singularly focused on shooting, uh, as far as extracurricular outside of work, outside of family and church and stuff, like that has been like the one thing. Like I really haven't done much hunting in recent, like in the past several many years. uh Fishing, I would do a little bit of fishing, but still that was only basically like as that was only as long as it didn't interfere at all with shooting and anything like that. And I'm at a point in life where like I don't I don't want to skip out on those other things. Uh like this, like I mean I've talked about a lot, like the mule deer hunt that I have coming up. Um and other trips, other stuff like that that I don't necessarily I'm not willing to sacrifice to be singularly focused on shooting anymore. Uh
Yeah.
which I mean that a little bit of that means accepting that I won't be able to perform at a level that I want to. Like I won't be as competitive as I want to be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to admit that. I don't want to like accept that necessarily. But that's where I am. That's just the truth of it. And as my kids get older, they're going to be involved in more and more things, and so like that's just kind of where it is. And so that's kind of I don't know if it's an epiphany or not, but that's kind of where I've been like the last couple of weeks. It's like, you know what, like I can enjoy shooting for shooting. I can still enjoy the training part of it. And maybe not sacrifice as much on some of these other things like hunting,
Mm-hmm.
golf. Maybe I do want to shoot and dabble in some NRL 22 or PRS or something like that. Some of that other stuff that in the past, like, well, if I could spend time on the range doing that, or I could spend time on the range shooting action pistol stuff. Always would have chosen action pistol stuff in the past.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So going forward, like you plan on still participating in action pistol stuff?
yeah, like so, like it's just gonna be like I'm signed up for the Caribbean Open. Like the wife wants to go. My buddy Bob and his wife are gonna go. Jeff is signed
Oh
up.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and if he can convince his wife to be able to, I don't know if it's convincing his wife or just her being able to get off from work. Uh,
Yeah.
if they can go, like that would,
Or
like so, like to have that. Like I want to go shoot Leif's match in Kentucky, and then Bob and I will probably do like some distillery tours.
cool.
I think Area One might be in Montana next year, so I'm always like there's so much outdoor stuff to do in Montana that I'm like very much want to go shoot that. So like the matches that I'm going to choose are going to be less focused on like before. Like I would choose the matches based on like world shoot prep, like qualifying for a world shoot team or nationals, and how do these prepare me for nationals?
Yeah.
Whereas in the going forward, like if we are pessimistic and the range in Ohio is going to have like half of their berms or just concrete walls, like I'm not going to Ohio for 4 days to shoot a match where you can only shoot one direction. Like I think they only have like 14 or 15 bays right now. So like I don't want to shoot that match if that's what it's going to look like. I don't want to shoot it. We can be positive at this point, and maybe hopefully it will be
I
better.
have faith.
And it'll be cooler than that. Jared has faith. He might be the only one.
We should just try to pick up some more international matches, man.
Yeah, like I mean, like that. I would love to go shoot the Extreme Euro Open. Like that is a kind of a bucket list match for me to shoot. Like the Pan Am is in Florida here, like in like a week, I think, which it's gotten zero publicity stateside.
Yeah, I leave on Thursday for it.
Okay, like that's a match that I may want to shoot in the future. So it's just kind of like I'm just gonna try to pick matches. Like they'll be fewer. Like it'll probably be 5 matches a year type deal, maybe 6 if there's something kind of close. Maybe even maybe less than 5. Not a ton of matches, but pick some matches every year that are in a cool location that I want to go to, or have buddies going to go shoot it, and it'll be fun traveling with them. Like that's gonna be a little bit more of my motivation for it.
Yeah.
But I still think the sport should be geared towards being competitive. So even though like my competitiveness is less, like I still want the sport to be geared towards competition.
But if you're not there making it competitive, Jeremy, who's gonna do it?
I mean, I'm not gonna try to be a slouch. I'm gonna have to try to figure out how can I be as competitive as possible without shooting 50,000 rounds a year.
That's where I've been thinking about this. Like, how can I be like Phil Strader? How can I do that?
Right.
How can I like not give a crap but show up and still kick some ass and have a good time? How can I do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
we
think
need to have him on here.
That's the way to do it.
And tell us how to do that.
Yeah, we should. That should be the interview. Is how do we shoot like you?
Right.
Like,
do I have to gain a bunch of weight? Is that part of the equation?
It could be. You were kind of leaning towards that way at Area 3.
I'm about the same. Yeah, I'm on the chunkier side right now.
Okay. You're part way there. Yeah. Like, just keep after it.
I could do it. It wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I have faith that you
stop exercising, eat more junk food.
Yeah, actually, just stop exercising and be
right. Yeah, he doesn't need to change his diet too much.
I wouldn't.
Let's see. The other cool thing from Nationals is I'm pretty sure the side match, which was just a bill drill, I'm pretty sure it paid out more money to the winners of that in every class, because it paid out for every class. Oh, nice. And the winner of that got more money than the winner of the entire Nationals. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
It looked like Hitting Group, GX Products, and Stonebridge Gunworks did a nice job with that little side event.
Yeah. So like, I feel like if we can figure out how to pay out, like I think the winner was like $1,000 or more for GM.
No, I think he got like $3,000 for winning, be the fastest.
$3,000. So
are you kidding me?
If we can figure out how, like forget training anything other than bill drills, right? Like why try to win the match? I just want to win the bill drill side match. If I can get $3,000 for that, like, do you have to even sign? Do you have to have a match fee? Do you have to pay a match fee to get into it, or if you just show up, can you?
And your match fee is like 50 entries in the bill drill contest.
Exactly. Yeah, you could. Yeah, 100%. So if we can figure out how to pay somebody for shooting $3,000 to shoot, and the guy that won it shot like a 128 or something, like it was a pretty,
Isaac
it was a
Isaac
crazy
Lockwood.
and lucky build
He's
drill.
pretty good.
Yeah, Isaac Lockwood.
I saw that video.
He did have
yeah,
one.
123, I think is what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, with one in the head. It had to be all A's. Like
Mhm.
there was no hit factor scoring. It had to be all A's. He did have one in the head, but even with that, it was still really
It's like,
impressive.
yeah. Oh, yeah, dude, just getting them all off in 123.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do
At
that.
120
Yeah.
something, if I'm doing well, I might have my fourth shot off, but more than likely I'm only on 3.
Oh, if I have my second shot off by 120, I'm feeling pretty salty.
Same. Yeah, that's 2 shots for me. 2.
So yeah, I think that's kind of a bad look that the side match pays out that much, and the winner probably got a cert for a glot. Oh, probably it's a sig, so it probably got a cert for a sig, is my guess. What Neil's pulled. I haven't talked to him, but
Well,
that'd be my guess.
you don't matter because you're a no-name nobody now.
That's true. That is true. I very much am that. But even like because I think Jack won A class. I think he won the side match for A class, and he got $500.
Hell yeah.
So
Job,
like,
Jack.
I mean, it's not like it's not. This wasn't just a GM elitist GM thing. Like all the classes got paid out based on their participation in this, like that class's participation in the side match. And he won A class. I don't know what he ran it in, but he got $500.
So he got $500
so
and won A class overall.
yes,
Had a good year.
it was really good for him. Jack has
So
shot
cool.
really well the second half of the year. I didn't pay that much attention to his first half. I didn't see what he was doing, but the second half, it looks like he's had a really good.
He's
good
been
second
shooting
half.
well. Him and his brother have both continued getting better each year.
Yeah, we're gonna need them to stop getting better. Is the thing that needs to happen.
Don't worry. As we get older, there's always someone younger and faster coming behind us.
Yeah, that's true. The other interesting thing is Pat Brown, who is one of the currently suspended members, got a USPSA's social media, took a picture of him and posted it on their social media for the match.
Hell yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
Right. Because they didn't like whoever was handling social media. They weren't like, oh, by the way, don't post anything with these people.
Yeah.
We suspended them.
Yeah.
These are the no-fly list.
Yep.
I love it. It's just so entertaining. It really is.
At this point, it is. It's just laughable. Like that's all it is. It's just laughable entertainment. So what else from nationals? Like, I didn't hear anything about I have not heard anything about how the stages were or anything like that. I do know that there were lots of doubled up bays, which they would have to because I think they had 18 stages utilizing 13 or 14 bays.
Yeah.
This was Talladega, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was in Talladega again.
Talladega.
But I haven't heard anything else about the match. If the stages were good or not, I just haven't heard.
Well, I don't see Jason Bradley in there. I guess he didn't come back.
He did not. He did not go shoot it. John Vliger was actually in I think third place or maybe even second after day 2, and he finished 10th, I think.
It looked like he had a really bad stage. Threw him down a long ways.
Apparently he left 2 steel standing on that stage. And I don't know exactly the all the situation. I think I heard in the Discord. I think somebody said in the Discord maybe he had a gun problem on one of them, and then another one was left standing, and he just kind of said screw it and just left them. And that he finished at 40% on that stage. So yeah, that hurt him quite quite a
Okay,
lot.
what happened to Hornsick? Why did he finish so low?
I mean, like Wansick hasn't been like that's
30
where did he
30
finish
second.
at? I mean, 87%. That's where Wansick's been shooting lately. Like I mean, he puts out a little bit of content, but like he hasn't been shooting matches. I haven't seen him. What matches he shot this year? I haven't seen him at a match before
No,
this.
I haven't either. I mean, I
So
haven't.
I just don't think he has.
I've been to like what two or three matches this year, so
Not a ton either. But I just don't think he's been competing hard. I don't know. Maybe he's doing more training or the training group stuff. Maybe
yeah,
he's busy enough with that.
probably.
He's messed around with a bunch of rifle stuff from what I've seen. So the guy that disappointed me was I had put Tom Castro at 10th in my most recent power rankings. And he finished this match at 30th, which is still 87%, which is,
That's nuts.
I mean, like it's not a bad percentage, but he had been finishing within like 20 points of like nils. I think he was within 20 points of max at a match. Like he has been finishing very, very high up at a lot of matches recently. And so I bumped Viger off of my top 10 and I put Castro in there. And he didn't, he kind of let me down a little bit. So he probably won't make it into the top 10 on the next power.
I think a lot of that too, just how competitive that division is. Like, you know, if you're 30 or 40 points off of where you should be, that might be 4 or 5 spots, might be 10. I haven't really looked as you get farther down there, but
yeah.
I mean, let's see.
But see, this is what every division needs to be like. This is like crazy good field of competition. Like every little mistake is costing you positions, probably a couple of positions in this field. And
for sure.
And right now, like this is the only division where there's a field like this.
I
mean,
being a standalone nationals is why it's like this.
It's not all why it's like this. I mean, even when other ones
it's
have
not
standalone,
all of it,
you don't have a field 80% stretching down to 85 positions.
Well, the last time that the last time they had a standalone nationals was, if I remember right, was Production and PASA. Right? I don't remember a complete standalone since then.
Yeah.
You know, something to point out where we were talking about, like, you know, how little difference, like, some points you make in that. Basically, 50 points was essentially the difference in 4th and 12th place. Yeah, not that 50 isn't a lot of points, but that's like, what, 3.5 points a stage for an 18-stage match? It's not giving up very much. You make a Mike no-shoot mistake on a stage, and you lost 5 spots.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing that I think is worth talking about is that nationals is a little bit of a different beast than your like sectional matches and even a lot of area matches, because it's a longer game, because of the stress level, even that the top guys are in, and the stages usually are a little tougher than you typically see it at sectional matches and stuff like that. That's not like a set in stone. That usually is. Consistency is very much awarded more at these matches, where a sectional match, like, you can kind of be a guy that kind of goes out and goes for it, and like if you hook up for the majority of it, like, you can have some really good finishes. Because like a guy like Jay Beal, right? Like if you look at Jay Beal's score, like he is just really, really consistent across the board. Like nothing's lighting the world on fire for the most part. But he's just really solid, really consistent across the whole thing, and that got him, 7th place at nationals at 93%.
Yeah.
And so like that, like if you want to do well at nationals, like that's how you do it. And that may mean like that shooting like that, like at a sectional match, you might lose. Like there's somebody that might beat you at a sectional. Not always, but somebody can kind of, they can put 10 or 12 stages together. Whereas you get to 20 stages and maybe they don't always hold it together as well.
Yeah, it looked like a solid match, man. Very solid.
I think Jeff froze.
Yeah, Jeff is frozen. All right, Sasquatch. Well, you got production nationals coming up?
Yeah, so remainder for this year, I have Pan Americans, and then Area 4, Fall Classic in Iowa, section matches, and production nationals.
Dadgum, you got as many matches left as Jeff and I shot the whole year.
How many matches did you end up shooting this year, Jared?
I don't know.
Well, you better tally it up because you said you wanted to shoot more than 12.
All right, we got Caribbean Open, Ozark, Cornhusker, Free State, Area 3. I feel like I missed something.
Yeah.
Dragons Cup.
So he's less than 12 though.
I think I'm under 12.
I think you're missing some.
Well done. I think he's probably missing a couple too.
I don't know. I'll go look here.
All right. Well, as he looks it up, it's good to get back and bang out a podcast again.
Yeah.
We've been a little behind on it lately.
Yeah. Potato will finally have something to listen to while he walks his dog.
Yeah.
You know what?
Hopefully.
We only recorded this one for my friend Waylon so he could listen to it while he mows my shooting range.
There you go. Perfect. And it's a long one.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We got Caribbean, Ozark, Dragons Cup. Let's see, that's 3. Rocky Mountains 4. Cornhuskers 5. Free State 6. Area 3 is 7. I have 5 more. Right? Hit 12.
Right at 12. Wow.
Finally, I managed to cut a couple matches.
Finally. Oh, nice.
All right. Go join the Discord. Jeff needs some money so he can renovate his lake house. Go in there and buy some hats because I need some money to buy diapers. I don't know. I need to pay for hopefully a mule. I'm hoping I can pay for a mule deer mount because I hope I'm going to shoot a big one. Also on the hats, like the shipping is makes them expensive. So if you know people like that are going to be at a match together or you live in the same area, we can ship multiples to one place and then you can kind of split the shipping up between multiple people and that can be a whole lot less. If not, like matches that I'll be at in the future, I guess me, because I have all the hats, matches that I'll be at in the future, like I'm happy to bring them to matches. But as I said earlier, I'm shooting a little bit fewer matches. So that's there, but I think the hats are kind of cool. They're gray. The Hit Factor logo is all black. And then the Hit Factor script is a yellow, bright yellow. I think they're cool. Somebody told me, what did they tell me? They said I was clearly an 80s style. I feel like this isn't really, I don't think this is an 80s style. I have a hat that if these sell out, that's going to come up next. That is definitely going to be like an 80s style. It's going to be busted.
So obviously this is a limited run. How many of these hats do we have?
I have 18 available.
18 available.
I have mine and my wife wanted one because she wanted to rep the podcast. So I am keeping 2, but then I have 18 available. Okay. I'm pretty sure they won't fit a Sasquatch head.
Never do.
Just sticking with the old Cajun hat.
Yeah. And so then if Jeff wants one, then we've got 17 available.
Hmm.
So that'll be up. I don't know if this fits Jeff's style
What's
or not.
what's the hat? We need model. Like, what model hat is this?
It is a it's pretty similar to a Richardson 112.
It's not specific enough.
I think it's actually a little more. I think it's more comfortable than a Richardson
Shut your
112.
mouth.
It's Port Authority C112, which maybe it is a Richardson 112. I don't know.
It's probably a knockoff.
I think it might be. I mean, like it's mesh back. I mean, it's very similar. I actually I picked this hat because I had one from a Calumet that my buddy gave me that was a Calumet like whiskey logo hat. And so I just looked, and it was pretty comfortable, and I liked it. And so I was like, well, I'll get those because I like it. And I feel like the brim is slightly flatter than a Richardson 112.
Okay.
So to me, it doesn't seem to like crowd like my sunglasses as much.
So I know you had a complaint with the Richardson that it had like a spot right here that kind of pushed on your forehead.
The one that I got of our Hit Factor hats, like the seam on the very front on that Richardson 112 digs into the front of my forehead pretty bad.
I'm sure you're not the only one.
Like an almost, which Richardson has a 5-panel that seam stops. It doesn't go all the way down. That's what Leif's GX hats are, the Richardson 112 5-panel. It may not be a 112, but it's the same hat just with the 5-panel. And those don't rub on like my forehead like that.
Okay.
So I looked at those, but I just went ahead and got this one because I could get it. But the next one will be like kind of like an old school like trucker like foam hat with some like colors and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's
dude,
gonna
I want one that has like
bussin'.
the rope across the front, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can do that. We can. The next one will have the rope. It'll be kind of that foam hat with kind of like some with some more colors and stuff in it. It's gonna be bussin'.
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess let's wrap it up, boys.
All right. Thanks for listening. Go to Shooters Connection, buy all the stuff. Tell them we sent you by clicking our link, and join the Discord, and give me feedback on power rankings, because I love fighting with people about that sort of stuff. Everybody likes to tell me on those power rankings. Everybody likes to tell me how wrong I am, but they don't actually like to offer up their power rankings.
Welcome to the internet.
I love it. I mean, like I
feel like that's just part of being friends with you. Like you just have to tell you that you're wrong and stupid, and we don't have to have a reason.
That's probably somewhat fair. So, all right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Peace.
Oh, stop recording, damn it.